let's talk a little bit about Ohm's law. And Ohm's law is essentially it is the equation voltage is equal to your current times the resistance. And usually we'll write this as like V is equal to I times R. You could also sometimes you'll also see this written as V is equal to AR. This is less common, uh, but I will say that some people use this. They'll use that because the A is reminiscent of your units for amperage. So here let's talk about our units. So for our units, we've got V, our voltage, is literally measured in volts. And voltage is basically like you can think of it as if I think of a circuit kind of almost in terms of, say, like hydraulics, voltage would be like the water pressure, how much pressure is pushing through. For the current literally is how much stuff is going through the pipes, and that is amperage, amps. Actually, it's ampere. So volts is V, ampere is just a capital A, and then of course our resistance is in ohms, and that is usually written by a capital omega. Now, there's a couple different ways of kind of finding what you need from here. Uh, if you're comfortable with algebra, this is what I would refer to as a plug and play question. You're just going to plug in the two pieces you know and solve for the unknown. Some people would much rather have some shortcuts. So I will say, if you go with the algebraic route, you could just say, okay, I've got this. Now, voltage is equal to current times my resistance. The shortcut on this is, I would say, cover up what you need. Which is to say, if I were to have something like this, I could write this as V over IR, oops. And say if I were looking for my voltage, I've got V is equal to I times R. If I were looking for my current, I would have V over R. If I were looking for my resistance, it would be that V over I. Now, I tend to favor, I pretty heavily favor just algebraic, but some people like to like little tools like this because it means that they'll be able to sort of tell what to do immediately. Now, this isn't going to be something that you'll be able to do for all of the questions all the time, but it can be helpful. It can be a helpful tool. Okay, let's show you a circuit diagram. And this is a very simple circuit diagram. And I could do something like this. I've got my resistance. And usually I've got something marked as a battery. And it's always one long plate and one short plate. This would literally show two batteries hooked up in series. And with this, I could say, well, I don't know what my resistance is, but I could say I know that my current is 5 amps, and I could say that my voltage here is 650 volts. Well, solving something like that, like I say, we just plug directly into that voltage is equal to IR. So my current here is that 5 amps. My resistance is unknown, and the voltage is 650. When I'm solving something like that, I can't, the equal sign is essentially, it's a roadblock. In order to solve it, I need to get that 5 over on the other side. This is multiplied together, so I need to divide. And I will divide both sides by that 5. So I'll end up with, I believe that's going to be 650 divided by 5 is going to be 130 is equal to my resistance. So that's going to be 130 ohms is the resistance in that circuit. Let's do another one. Let's say I've got something like, I'll do something like this. Now, you're not always going to be given a circuit diagram. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Let's say I know that I've got, say, 21 volts here. I got a 21 volt battery, something like that running this. And I've got a resistance of, say, 140 ohms. Okay, well, V equals IR. We're clearly looking for our current. Current is unknown. So let's plug it in. That would be 21 is equal to I times my 140. And then to solve that, I would divide both sides by 140. So we're always dividing by whatever multiplies our variable. Okay, in this case, I'll end up with my current is equal to, that'd be 0.15. So it's going to be 0.15 amps. Amp here. For our last example here, we've solved for a resistance, we've solved for a current. Let's see what happens when I solve for, say, a voltage. And this time I'm going to say, you don't always have to, if you're given a simple circuit, we might be told that I've got a simple circuit, simple series circuit with a resistance of 90 ohms and a current of 1.2 amps. What is our voltage? Well, V equals IR. Here, I'm looking for the voltage, but that's going to be 1.2 amps, so 1.2 times my 90 ohms. And notice I'm not doing any division here. All of my constants are on the other side. This is just multiplication. I'll do 1.2 times 90, and that'll end up with V is equal to, looks like 108. So that would be 108 volts. Alrighty. Hopefully this gives you a nice little introduction on Ohm's law, and I will see you in the next video.